Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's October 11th, 2018. I'm out in the gazebo by pond number 3, which is right behind me here over my right-hand shoulder. And I thought I'd do another episode of Ask Me Anything since it's raining and it's difficult to film some of the activities around here when it's raining. So let's start off back with Joanne Thompson. In response to a video that I created that I'll post in the upper right hand corner, I think it was last year, regarding starting sweet potato slips in perlite. Joanne Thompson, did you make plantings from these slips? And yes, we did. The slips ended up doing very well. However, there was one challenge, and I'll talk about that in a moment. We got them into the garden, and because we planted so many, since we started so many slips, it turned out extremely well, and we had a really productive sweet potato crop as well. However, I plan on making another video with modifying my growing sweet potato slips in perlite. Hopefully this coming season I'll do that. I just haven't had the time to, I didn't have the time this past early spring to do it the new way. The challenge that I ran into was because of the positioning of the UV, of the LED lights over the sweet potato slips with the perlite there, the white actually encouraged algae to start growing on the surface of the perlite. So I'm going to try using, still doing it in perlite, but making it so that white isn't so reflective and encourages the algae to grow as well. I've got a couple of ideas about that, but hopefully this next winter, early spring season, I'll create a video and we'll see how successful that is. But yes, we had a tremendous crop of sweet potatoes. So thank you very much for the question, Joanne. JB from Oz commented on the video that I posted about the failure with the beans growing in the eastern garden plot. Yesterday I harvested the beans from the western garden plot. They're Cherokee Trailer and Scarlet Red Runner beans, planted in the same compost, similar wood chips mulch around it, as the eastern garden plot, but the eastern garden plot didn't do as well. And JB from Oz commented, great to have an analysis of the root cause. Thanks heaps for sharing, Kevin. And Lisa commented, failure is a great teacher. I've been surprised by how much moisture of our wood chips retain, even in 100-degree temperatures over prolonged periods. Thanks for the explanation. Beautiful piano. I had piano music going with that one. And Ann Studley commented, thanks for that valuable information. So what's your solution to the issue? And that's all regarding the soil becoming saturated and resulting in some changes in the root structure. So I just grabbed, since I yesterday harvested some of the beans from the western plot, and I wish I had saved some of the ones from the eastern plot. But one of the things, I don't know if this is going to show up, it looks like there's a taproot at the base of the main stalk or trunk of the bean plant, and then you have all these laterals that shoot out circumferentially. They go out and they extend. If you dig down in there and tease them out carefully, these laterals extend out about 2 feet. And so here's another one, and the quote taproot doesn't look much different than the laterals on this one. Here's one with the main taproot, the first one going down. It looks a little more pronounced, but all these laterals, and these ones I just yanked up a few minutes ago and the soil is really wet. This one I snapped off the taproot, but the laterals are really important. So Unfortunately, I didn't shoot a great video I didn't slow down and get a close-up of the soil. But what I had was, I have the mounds of soil, of compost, that I had created in the eastern garden plot that were pretty high. And if you watch the video as I progress, and the next video on that where I'm prepping the garden plot, I think it is, where I use the tilter to flatten out that peak mound after I remove the weed mat, because there's a weed mat on the outer surface of this mound of compost, and then on the outer surface of that weed mat are the wood chips. So what I did in essence wrong in this situation was, it wasn't wrong initially before the surrounding, I call it sod, the grasses and the soil really created it became more enveloped, and the root masses of all the grasses got thicker and more matted, which didn't allow the moisture to escape through all of that, the sod as well. That sod retained a great deal of moisture up against that weed mat, and the weed mat did not allow the laterals to extend out laterally, and the roots that went down deep in this relatively narrow mound, which was still a fair amount of compost, but the lower parts of the compost became saturated because the sod level around that area was more saturated. And I found that although the wood chips hold a great deal of moisture because of their particle size initially, there's air spaces in between it despite them holding the moisture. But when I had a weed mat between the wood chips and the compost, the moisture content of the compost at depth was retained at saturated levels where there wasn't the appropriate amount of air. So those roots that go down vertically, go down deep into the soil, become weaker and puny and start to die. And I think that soil is going anaerobic. And that's what I believe is actually happening. I wish I had saved some of those, I wish I had saved some of those roots. Basically, they were so wimpy, and I never thought about there being that question. Later on, I saw it and said, oh, observation, this looks like what's happened here. I'll have to modify the situation in the future. So in one of the next videos where I'm adding, building up the compost in the eastern garden plot, one of the things you'll be able to see when it's done is, not only did I build up the first I used the tilter to flatten out, to widen out the compost base. Then I added more compost on top of that, and then instead of putting a weed mat up against that compost, I put wood chips there. A weed mat will later on go on top of the whole thing, but that way the large particulate size of the wood chips allows airspace to go in there. And what I've seen before with many of the potatoes that I've put in, they'll actually send out, and the sweet potatoes too, they'll send out their tubers way out into the wood chip area where it drains more effectively. So the higher the mounds, the better. And one of the things hopefully you'll be able to see as I'm gradually modifying our permanent raised beds here, even though we're dealing with more severe droughts, I'm building the garden beds more raised, more and more raised, and the wood chips or the paths will be lower. That way I can have more opportunities. Yes, I will need to control irrigation more. I have to be more regulated in my irrigation, but I won't have to deal with the saturation effect and potentially starving the roots of the plants of the much needed air, the oxygen that's necessary. I think I'll end this Ask Me Anything video at this point. I just wanted to go over those two topics for today. I think there are some more comments and questions, but my phones have just basically both gone blank. So if you found this of value, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, hit that bell icon if you want to be notified when we post more videos. And certainly, even if it's a rainy, gloomy day where you are, make the best of it. Have a great day. Take care now, folks. Bye-bye.